The Monsanto House of the future stands in Tomorrowland. An exciting, dramatic exterior. But would people really be interested in it? Here's just a part of the answer.
Since the opening of Disneyland, a lot of changes happened, and the earliest addition to the park I can think of is the House of the Future in Tomorrowland. This futuristic exhibit would take guests to the future to show how they would live in the future. I'm Dane, and today we'll be taking a look at the history on the Monsanto House of the Future. In 1901, Monsanto started operation. This agrochemical, agricultural, biotechnology company sponsored the attraction. Monsanto wanted to show plastic is a strong material, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT for short, Marvin Goody, Richard Hamilton designed the house. Project manager Robert Whittier built the glass reinforced plastic outside of the house. Walt Disney wanted Tomorrowland to show the future. He always loved the idea of the future and what it could be. Epcot is a great example of this. Disneyland also had an aluminum attraction. Yes, they had an aluminum attraction showing what aluminum is and the potential it has. Now aluminum is everywhere, but back then wasn't that common because it had just recently been invented. So when Monsanto wanted a plastic building, the only place it could go was Disneyland. The attraction itself would show what bedrooms, living room, bathroom, and the kitchen would look like in the future. The house would be on a raised platform and had a futuristic look by having wings on the side of the building. These wings would have the living room, the master bedroom, boys and girls bedroom, dining, and family room. When you first start the tour, you would enter from the left and see both the kitchen and the dining room. In the kitchen, cooking food could be as easy as putting something in a microwave and having it cooked at lightning speeds. A dishwasher that uses ultrasonic waves to wash dishes, which, yes, does actually exist. It's on Amazon. I don't really recommend using it because it's a little bit advanced. Want the house to feel good? Climate control is controlled by a panel in the kitchen. AC, heat, or scent can be controlled by this. Remember how I said Monsanto wanted to emphasize the future of plastic? Well, in the future, dishes, cups, tables, and the counters are all made of plastic. Next in the tour would be the bedrooms. Everything in these rooms would be made of plastic and fiberglass and separated by a movable wall. In the bathroom of the future, an electric razor and toothbrush and a live feed closed-circuited television screen to see who was at your front door. So you don't have to get up and answer the door. All you need to do is just press a button and see who's there. Last stop is the living room with windows made of thermopane, which again does exist today. Construction began on the plastic in 1954 and was built by Simpson, Gupperts, and Hager, SGH for short. Dr. Hager of that company also worked on Spaceship Earth in Epcot. The now senior principal of SGH, Dr. Mehdi Zarghami, hopefully I said that right, who supplied us with some reports and photos, worked with him on the Sorcerer hat in Disney's Hollywood Studios, Disney's MGM Studios at the time. Monsanto House of the Future opened up in 1957. People of the 50s were interested in seeing the future. Over 435,000 visitors came to the house in its opening year, and it was very popular when it was open because over 20 million people came to the house over its 10-year run. The House of the Future saw no updates during operation, and some of these things ended up being invented. You know, people are very interested in the future, even today. Like, Meet the Robinsons just celebrated its 14-year birthday, and that's a movie of the future. Wasn't very successful, but still, that's a movie of the future, and people are always interested in the future and always dreaming up ideas for the future. Some of these inventions were not going to be made until decades later, like Ring, but the microwave had been invented in 1946, but Disney just updated the idea a little bit. But in 1967, some of these ideas came to be in real houses, so people didn't really want to go into the house of the future because some of these things were actually in their homes. Speaking of 1967, another Monsanto attraction opened up in Tomorrowland, because there were 3. House of the Future, forget what the other one is called, and Adventure Through Inner Space. And these 2 attractions were fairly close to each other. House of the Future is there, and Adventure Through Inner Space is right there. So, fairly close. Adventure Through Inner Space took some of the visitors from the house, because it was a dark ride, and exciting. In this dark ride, guests would be shrunk down to an atom. Because of this, and since nothing added since the opening of the house closed and was set to be demolished. The demolition was supposed to be a quick one with only a day of demo. Nothing could go wrong, right? Right? Well, when the wrecking ball went to smash the building, it just bounced off because all of it was made from plastic, and it's kind of a hard thing to demolish. The demo took up to 2 weeks, and the workers cut the house into pieces with saws. I can't imagine doing that. The area where House of the Future is still there, and actually the concrete foundation of the building is still there due to not being able to properly destroy it. The area is now Pixie Hollow with Tinkerbell meet and greets. The foundation is fairly easy to see, and you don't need to do any urban exploring, so I do recommend go seeing it. House of the Future kind of returned to Tomorrowland. Well, the concept of it did. 2008 brought a new exhibit to Tomorrowland called Invention Dream Home. In this walkthrough attraction, you followed the Elias family through their home that featured the newest PCs, music, games, and of course all sponsored items. Inventions at Disneyland was housed in the same theater as Carousel of Progress and America Sings. So, it was a great walkthrough attraction. This was similar to Carousel of Progress as it followed a family, but this time they were getting ready for a World Cup game. The House of the Future would have one more representation, and fairly recently. I think this was sometime in 2020. On an episode of The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, Ludwig von Drake shows off his newest invention, the House of Tomorrow, which Mickey destroys. And in this episode, it's kind of similar to the House of the Future in the design, but no, there was no artificial intelligence that actually destroyed the house, so there was no actual fire in the real House of the Future, thank goodness. And actually something like this would come in Epcot, but it wouldn't be as cool as the interventions in Disneyland and the actual real Monsanto House of the Future. And some background information on Monsanto, the company itself. It actually ceased operations in 2018, which is pretty sad. And yes, I would like to see something like this come to Tomorrowland. Like I always say, I mean, it's basically the exact same outro all the time, because I'm always like, I would like to see this come to this and this and this. It's not something that I would desperately like to see, but it would be cool. Actually, you know what? I don't think they should bring it to Disney World, because it wouldn't really fit. I mean, a House of the Future back then, because people in the 50s for some reason loved the idea of the future. Just like they weren't living in present times, just always future, 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 future. If you think about it, everything in the 50s is all about the future. But now, since society has moved on and changed, and I mean Epcot, just look at Epcot, that's about the future. Future World, for heaven's sake. Now the name is changing. It's not going to be Future World anymore, and it's not going to be as heavily centered on the future, so yeah, I don't think it would be a good fit in Disney World or Disneyland anymore. Now, it would fit the aesthetic of of Tomorrowland, kind of, but it wouldn't be a successful attraction. It could go in the, it could easily be a walkthrough like they did in Interventions and be in the Stitch's Great Escape building. Anything could go in that building for that matter, but yeah, House of the Future has a special place in some people's hearts. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button and consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me if you did so. And comment down below. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.